about the Spring Lake Lakers? Jackson, we got some rivalry banter going on In the Huddle already. Well, we haven't even gotten to the season, and we got Spring Lake throwing shade at Grand Haven, okay? And we know those two are on a crash course this year. Last year, 7-4, third in the OK White, District 4 district finalists, okay, after beating Godwin Heights, which was an impressive win. They have a flex bone backfield unit led by experienced ball carriers that are really built for that signature running system when it comes to an option heavy way of going about things, right? Which that is what the flex bone is, and it provides you a lot of options, okay? Their trench anchors need to be good, multi-year returners that are back into the fray. You look at Spring Lake, what do you make of the Lakers? Do you think they're going to run over Grand Haven the way they say they will?
Yes, plain and simple. Spring Lake, I had the chance to call their playoff game against Unity Christian, and that was a school that had Unity Christian on the ropes more so than I saw at any other point in the season while calling Unity Christian, right? It was they were neck and neck going into that fourth quarter. Then Unity Christian just does what they do best and they pulled away. They'll grind you down to a pulp until they can pull away, and that's exactly what they did, right? So this is a year that I think Spring Lake finally pulls an upset over a top tier Grand Rapids Power in conference play, and they push all the way to the regional championship. And honestly, I think they could even do that more so. They're a great running team. I think they have a top 3 rushing offense in West Michigan this year. And that's going up against teams like Unity Christian, right? Their playoff run last year was very, very tough. I mean, we talked about Godwin Heights a couple of weeks ago. That was a team that is on the up and up, and they had a breakout season last year. And sometimes you got to come to the field and you've just got to have a shootout, and that's exactly what they did. And it was similar to Unity Christian, right? So a little bit different. Shout out Rob Zeitman, one of the offensive line coaches there, one of the lineman coaches rather. I know he listens to the show. He gave us some nice compliments there. I think a good guy that we should have on the show, but he's doing some great things at offensive line. You talk about that offense they run. I mean, you need a good offensive line, and that man knows offensive line. So
Speaking of the OK White, Wayland Union in the Wildcats, that was another team that got a lot of requests, just 2 wins a season ago, right? They got their win over Hamilton. They had a couple of them. It's when you look at what last year was and then what they have now, you want important pieces in important places, right? And if you have one in the different levels of the field, right? If you look at it in the way of levels, right? Your offensive line, and then you go to your backfield, or you have your defensive line, your backers, your secondary. If you have all of those areas covered, with someone who is a vet, with someone who has experience, and someone who can produce, that gives you a level of options. And again, those guys can help build up that position group as you go. Jake Reeder is back. Running back, middle linebacker, BJ Kerr could be really good. He's a tight end and a fullback, right? You look at Logan Hall, center and defensive tackle. So all of your different levels, in a way, are covered for Wayland Union. Now, what that means, I don't know if that necessarily translates to wins automatically, but they look like they have a lot of hope heading into this year. What do you see from Wayland Union?
2 wins a year ago. I think they double that this year. There was a game last year against Sparta where they lost by 1. Again, that's one of those, did they go for 2? Did they not go for 2 type of thing? And I think they closed the gaps on a number of one of their games as well in that conference, right? The OK White, it's a tough conference, right? But I think they finally win a couple this year. And I think they sneak their way into an 8 seed in the Division 3 playoffs, right? 2002 is the last time they made any noise in the playoffs. Let's see if they can get hot and maybe make some noise in that area this year.
Baptism by fire. It's something a lot of people go through. It is something that almost, in many ways, prepares you for the worst that life has to offer. Because if you just get thrown into the fire, you just got to figure it out. And there are people who have made careers out of this because they were just put in the position and told, well, now you have to figure out how to win. And that's where Allendale is right now. You look back at last year, they were 1-8. Again, this is another program that people have been kind of begging for me to talk about. And I'm like, again, it's tough because when you look at how they played in the River Cities Alliance last year, they didn't do all that well. They fought through a grueling schedule. They got that win over Sparta. But when I try to break down this team, what I will say is I think trial by fire is the one sentence that comes to my mind. A young receiving corps that is skilled, but again, needed that year under their belt. An offensive line that is returning a lot of physicality and a lot of players that were on it from a year ago. Sometimes you just go through those cycles where maybe you just don't have the pieces you need. But what do you see out of the Falcons?
I think they're going to be a pesky, pesky team this year. I think they're going to play around with some of the top teams in the conference, and I think they might squeak out a couple of wins, just barely. But I think they squeak off, and maybe just drive some of those really good teams insane. They're in a tough division in Division Four. They like to call that the epicenter of the private schools in the area, right? And this is, I mean, you look at their schedules in the past, right? It's insane who they've had to play. But this is the third year of the River City as Alliance, and I think they can make some noise as this is a conference that is still growing.
And we're still growing as well here on In the Huddle.